Hello, my name is Eli. I am a bodybuilder and I have been in fitness for over 6 years now, and I helped a client achieve her dream physique for her wedding, which is a pretty cool story. And it is an amazing story, and that's why I'm making a video to talk about it, because it was a really wild journey over these 10 months working with her and helping her achieve what she achieved and overcome the struggles that she overcame. It was amazing. And I had to make a YouTube video about it because this is just one of the most powerful stories that I've ever seen and dealt with personally. And I just wanted to show you what we were able to achieve, because this video will be a month-by-month breakdown of the entire journey of when I started working with her in August and when she actually did her wedding in May of this year. And we're going to talk about how we eliminated her struggles and helped her achieve her goals in these 10 months. And it was a wild journey, so let's get into it. So we started coaching on August 14th, 2025. She reached out to me in the DMs, and I immediately started asking her what's going on, and got to learn a lot about her. And through that, I built her custom plan to help her do this. And I included a lot of this information on here. I'm not going to read all of this, but I included it because I'm going to include this entire presentation in the description down below for all of you to go through and look at it and read everything if you want, because there's a lot of value involved in here that I'm not going to talk all about in this video. Essentially, I'm going to go over some of the main important points, and then through that, we will be able to unfold this entire journey and what she was able to achieve. First of all, her main goal was to lose 15 kilograms for her wedding in May. Also to build self-confidence in her body and develop healthy eating and exercise habits that she can carry onwards throughout her entire life forever. But those were her goals. The biggest problems were her struggles. She struggled with crash dieting because that's how she thought weight loss worked. She would try to eat less than 1,000 calories every day, which obviously is not a good idea. And that would cause her to go into these cycles of binge eating afterwards, because she'd be so hungry that she just would. So she was constantly in that cycle of crash dieting and binge eating. And because of that, she started feeling self-conscious. She would go into these self-sabotage cycles and just feeling burnt out through it all. She had been trying to do all of that for years and years before she finally reached out to me to help her. So to do that, I built her custom plan: nutrition, training, and accountability, with 3 main goals to help her eliminate the binge eating habit that she was struggling with. And by doing that, we helped her develop good, healthy eating habits. And then we also included a training plan where we made regular exercise a habit that she could follow, so that she didn't just eat healthy, she was able to actually build muscle as well, which she did, which was awesome. And obviously, the most important was the accountability. Every week on Saturday mornings, I had a check-in with her, so I'd send her a weekly check-in, she'd fill it out, and then that was how I was able to check in on her. But also, we would do daily messaging with the main goal to help her stay consistent and also make sure that she was feeling good at the same time. And so those were the 3 main parts of this plan that I built for her to help her get out of those struggles that she's dealing with, and also help her achieve the goals that she wants for her wedding in May. So that's how we did it, to develop the healthy eating habits so that the byproduct would be her achieving her dream physique. So yeah, this was a big journey with a huge transformation that we will get to. So when we first started, the first 2 weeks were rough for her because the scale wasn't moving. So she wasn't seeing weight loss happen on the scale. And she started to have a lot of anxiety, a lot of these issues of feeling like she wasn't doing it right, which is something she was struggling with for years before she reached out to me. And I was seeing that happen to her in these first 2 weeks. And I was seeing, oh, she's having a lot of this anxiety over the scale. She's hyperfixating on the scale, not really moving a lot. And I realized that's a big problem that we're going to have to really break out of. She's going to have to break out of the loop. So my solution was just explaining to her what was actually happening. She wasn't gaining body fat. She wasn't struggling to lose body fat because she was in a calorie deficit because of the nutrition plan that I made for her. The problem was water retention, because For the first time in her life, she's been eating more than 1,000 calories consistently. She's eating 1,700 consistently. Even though she's in a deficit, her body is like, oh wow, there's a lot of carbohydrates here. So her body is going to use those carbs and essentially hold on to water. That's what's happening. And that's why she's not losing weight yet on the scale. She's consistently in a deficit, which means she's losing fat. She's just holding on to water. And we see this because the scale isn't moving, but she has a lot of body measurements here. And these body measurements that she was making every single week are consistently going down. So she was essentially making fat loss progress that she couldn't see on the scale yet. And that was hard for her in the beginning. But over time, she started realizing kind of how all this works. And that anxiety and that self-doubt started to fade over time. And I just made sure that she knew that she was on the right track, and we pressed onwards. And so a month after this, in October, so coming up on 2 months of working together, we started to really see a lot of progress. So she started out at 163 pounds. Now she's at 153. So she has lost 10 pounds in a little less than 2 months. So we're finally seeing that scale weight start to drop because of the consistent fat loss over time. So this is really, really exciting for her. And she began to learn that patience and consistency is what it really takes on any fat loss journey. So in the beginning, when she was starting to have that anxiety and self-doubt, that was starting to be kind of a problem she had been dealing with for all those years. And she started to see, oh, wait, if I just stay consistent in this deficit, eating enough calories that I feel good, but not too many, that I don't lose body fat, being in that right range, that's how this works. And so she's starting to see that, which is really exciting. But the struggles aren't over, because in November, about a month after that, she started seeing a plateau. Basically, the scale stopped moving. So we were seeing all this progress, and then the scale stopped moving all of a sudden. So for 2 weeks, the scale would fluctuate between 148 and 151 pounds. And she voiced her frustrations to me, and I saw this. And so after working with her for 3 months, I realized it's probably about time to drop the calories a little bit more, because you don't want to drop the calories too fast to where they're hungry. But what you want to do is, after a certain amount of time, the body's going to get used to eating a certain amount of calories, and it's going to say, oh, we can survive now on this amount of calories. And that's when the plateau happens. So then it's time to drop the calories a little bit more so that the body can then be in a deficit again. And that's what I did. I dropped her calories by another 100. So not a big jump, but enough to kind of boost that fat loss and continue it. And that's what we did. And I also, in addition to lowering the overall daily calories by 100, I also moved a lot of her calories over to breakfast, because she realized she was waking up really hungry. And so she wanted to eat a bigger breakfast, which is something that worked really well for her. So she voiced that to me, and I did that. And that was just a situation where she found out something that worked really well for her, and I conceded. And I said, that's great. Let's do that. So she ate more at breakfast, but less overall calories. And that seemed to work really well. And I want you to notice that even though the scale was not really moving a lot here and she had a plateau, she didn't have anxiety. I wanted you to notice that in these messages. She said it's just kind of fluctuating, and it's a little bit frustrating. So she was kind of, instead of dealing with a lot of anxiety like she was back in August, now she's actually just dealing with it in a way that's logical. And she knows that it's just a little bit of a change that needs to happen, which is what we did. And she didn't overthink it, and we were able to move forward, which is what we did. And throughout the holiday season, she was able to make progress. And she dropped all the way down to 141 during the month of December. So about another 12 pounds since we last saw on the last slide. We're about minus 22 pounds total by the end of December, which is absolutely fantastic. And I want you to read some of these messages. So she says, this is awesome. It's so unreal to think about, which is great. That's awesome. That's just some messages about the progress that we've made over the last few months working together. But down below, I want you to look at what she said. She said, I'm going to go enjoy the new year and then get back to business afterwards. I kind of want to enjoy myself, but I know I'll get back to it immediately. Now, a lot of coaches and a lot of people would say, oh crap, she's falling off. But I sat back and I said, okay. She trusts herself to be able to enjoy the holidays and then get back to it after. So as the coach, I said, okay, I will allow you to do that, and then we will see what happens after. And so she was able to do this, enjoy the holidays, and continue to see progress afterwards, which is a huge sign that anxiety and that self-sabotage and that overthinking mindset has essentially completely vanished. She's able to know that she can enjoy her life, maybe eat a little bit more during the holidays, and then just get back to it afterwards. And that's one of the best things to see in this whole journey, because that's the biggest sign of growth in the beginning, is her being able to know that I can actually enjoy my life and continue to see progress at the same time. And that was one of my favorite moments so far. Just her being able to enjoy the holidays and still be able to see progress. And progress was through the roof. But challenges still lied ahead in the beginning of the new year in 2026, which we will get to right now. The first sign of difficulty in the new year, January 7th. She said that workouts were starting to get a little bit hard. The workouts were starting to get hard to sustain. She was starting to feel a little bit burnt out. But she also told me that she loves dancing and she loves fun, active workouts like that. And I said, okay, we're not really here for her to get jacked. She's not here to bodybuild. She's here to lose weight for her wedding. So I said, you know what? We're going to make these workouts a lot more fun for her so that she can actually stay active every week and enjoy it, which actually makes it better for her, because then she can stay consistent and it'll work really well for her and she'll still be able to see fat loss progress. Again, this isn't bodybuilding. This is fat loss for her wedding. That's her goal. So I said, that's perfectly fine. So I included dancing, a bit more fun stuff in her workouts every week. And that made it so that things were a lot more fun for her in the exercise side of this whole training plan and nutrition plan. That was a big deal for her and a big deal for me, because that made it so that I knew she's actually going to enjoy this and see progress, which is one of the most important things on any fitness journey. But things were looking positive here. She experienced one of the biggest challenges so far just 2 days later, on January 9th and 10th, where she got sick and she experienced her lowest point, at least we think, so far in this whole journey, was on January 9th and January 10th. Where on January 9th, that was her first day of sickness, where she woke up in the morning with the flu, which is horrible, obviously. And so she didn't eat a lot that day because she felt so sick. And I was like, yeah, that's okay. Just make sure you're staying hydrated, keep drinking all those fluids to try to flush out that sickness, and eat when you eat if you can. You know, eating is important even when you're sick, but you know, if she couldn't, she couldn't. And that was what happened. She didn't log anything. She didn't eat anything on January 9th. And so then on January 10th, this was the second day of sickness, and she woke up that morning still sick with the flu. However, this day, since she didn't eat the day before, she was really hungry this day, and she slipped up on her diet pretty bad. About as bad as this was the worst that it was so far on the journey. She ate cookies, she ate chips, she ate a lot of unhealthy stuff, and that made her feel a lot of guilt, shame, and regret, because she just felt like not only did she disappoint me, but she felt like she disappointed herself. And this was the point as a coach where I kind of sat back and let it all play out, because I knew that eventually this would just be part of her story. This would be part of her journey, and she would learn from this mistake. I wasn't mad. I wasn't even disappointed. I was just looking at it through a logical lens, like, okay, this happened to her. It's going to be part of her journey, part of her story, and it's going to be something she can learn from, which is exactly what happened. Even though in these messages you can see that she felt a lot of guilt, shame, and she felt upset, but she wasn't horribly anxious like she was in August. She was just upset. She felt terrible. As you would. You binge, you eat like that, and afterwards it's never worth it. And she understands that now. That's what I'm saying. She went through it, and now she understands that it's not worth it to do that. And so she was determined to get back on track. And January 11th, the day later, this was the biggest turning point. And that's because after a huge mess up like she did on January 10th, she made a mistake, she ate a lot of unhealthy food, it was time to get back on track in the turning point. And that change from being upset and that guilt, that shame, to being back on track, that growth is one of the most important parts on any fitness journey. So if you ever are on a fitness journey and you slip up, getting back on track is the best thing you can do, because even though you slipped up, it's a great opportunity to just grow and just learn, because that's exactly what she did. She fully committed to get back on track. She said, I'm going to get back on it here today. I'm no longer sick. I'm officially starting. And I told her it will be an easy fix to get back on track. And I told her not to stress. And she was very thankful for that, because that is one of the best things that you can do, is to not stress and just say, okay, it's the past. Who cares? We're back on track. And that's what we did. And at this time, I also went ahead and updated her plan to help her push forward to get towards her goal physique. I dropped her calories a little bit more by another 100. And I also updated the training plan to be that dancing and that fun, active stuff that we were talking about. And that was when I did this. And she said, sounds good, awesome, we're ready to get forward, and we're ready to keep making progress. And that's what we did. So February, the next month after that big mess up, a new relationship with food. And I want to explain this, and I want to take a second to look at this really carefully, because in the last month she went kind of crazy. She indulged, she binge ate. And so here in February, she says, I'm going to indulge a bit with a cake with my fiance. They went out to a nice dinner, and she said, I've been very consistent. I'm going to indulge a little bit. I'm going to enjoy myself. And she was talking about cheating on her diet, and I said, yep, perfectly fine, because cheat meals are fine, and that's actually a great way to continue enjoying your life when you're on a fitness journey, is to have a little bit of a refeed one day maybe. And I just said, just keep your goals in mind when you're cheating. Just keep your goals in mind. And that's what she did. And she even joked about the scale going up. At this point, she's at the stage now where all that anxiety and that self-doubt's out the window. That's in the past. She's already dealt with all these slip-ups. She's dealt with all those slip-ups, and she's seen a lot of this progress on her journey. All that anxiety's gone. So she's now joking about the scale going up. And I'm just like, yep, reinforcing the same stuff about how it won't be fat gain, it'll just be water weight. And she understands. And after indulging, the next day, her weight went down, actually. And her weight went down even though she cheated on her diet, because she has been in a consistent calorie deficit over time. Since she's been so consistent, like she says here in this message, since she's been so consistent over time, she's actually been able to lose fat consistently, even though she indulged and enjoyed her life, which is a great reason and a great example to say that you can enjoy your life and see progress, which is exactly what she's seeing right here. And this is her new relationship with food. She's learning that even though she's indulging a little bit and enjoying her life and a little bit of some parts, she's actually still able to see progress over time, which is just awesome to see for both of us. And this conversation right here that we're looking at was one of the most pivotal parts of her journey, because of everything I just said. Because she's able to cheat and enjoy her life and see progress. And her anxiety was fading, and this new relationship with food is forming. And that is when we get to March, and she starts to see a lot of progress. We're down to 132 at this point. 132, which is over 30 pounds lost. And confidence is starting to build. She says she never thought this transformation was possible. And my favorite part, this was my favorite day, the favorite message I read from her during these 10 months. She said, back when she was still overweight, she said that she hated taking her engagement photos when she was overweight before her transformation. But now she says that she is excited for her upcoming wedding photos, which, I mean, that's just something out of a movie. That's something out of like a documentary. That's amazing. That was my favorite part of this story, and I absolutely loved it. And she also has physical habit changes. These were her mindset changes. She has physical changes where she says that she feels physically sick to think about eating like she used to. She thinks she feels physically sick to think about eating the way she used to before this transformation. And that's just a great sign that her habits are changing, and that she's transforming not only in her mind and physically, but also just her habits, her environment, her lifestyle is changing. And this fires me up to talk about, because I just love it so much that she's able to be changing this much and see this progress. And I love it. I love it so much. It's awesome to see. And then after March, after all this confidence, in April, she's down to 126, which is absolutely unreal for me to still see that she was able to lose all this weight consistently over this time. and be able to feel good while doing it and enjoy her life and deal with the struggles and tribulations, but still be able to move forward. And April was nothing but good stuff. We saw January, that big struggle. February was that new relationship with food. March was the confidence building. April's nothing but good stuff. I mean, I can sit back and see all this. Constant check-ins. Every time I'd check in, she'd say, yeah, I'm good. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect. Going pretty good. Everything is perfect as of right now. Thank you. Pretty good. Thanks. Pretty good. As of right now, nothing's wrong. No matter how many times I checked, she just said she was good. And that was amazing. May 2026. The wedding and the lightest weight she had ever been. Days before her wedding, 125.88. That was officially minus 38 pounds lost since August 14th, 2025. And she was shocked, incredibly proud, and I was too. She was like, she absolutely recognized that she has came a long way since August of last year. She said, I never thought it would look like this. It just seems impossible in my mind. And she even said, I'm going to look like a Victoria's Secret supermodel on my wedding. An absolute crazy level of confidence here. But all of that confidence was absolutely justified because of the absolute progress that she's made. And so then her wedding happened on May 22nd. She reported that everything was perfect. And after she said that everything was perfect, and after she had achieved this transformation, she had a full understanding of everything. After all these trials and tribulations and struggles she had on this journey, she understood what it takes. And she finally learned fat loss. She finally learned how fat loss works and how fitness journeys really work, and that you have to be patient and consistent every single day with every single little habit you have. And since she understood that now, after these 10 months of working together, she no longer needed my help. She didn't need my help, and she was fully capable of doing everything on her own. And that was one of my favorite moments too. After her wedding, she was just, I'm not going to really track any calories anymore, she said. She said, I'm just going to eat mindfully and stay consistent with everything that I've learned. And I think that that was one of my favorite moments as well. And so after 10 months of working together, August of 2025 all the way to May 2026 with her wedding pictures and everything, she lost 38 pounds of fat healthily over the span of 10 months, and she built her dream physique for her wedding day. That is one of my favorite stories that I will ever tell about somebody who works with me, and the story that they were able to tell themselves and the transformation they were able to achieve. And all of these bad habits that she was able to conquer, the binge eating up to the healthy eating habits, the body image anxiety up to the self-confidence, the self-sabotage and inconsistencies when the scale wouldn't move, up to being consistent because she knew that consistency and achieving daily habits was really what it took, to the burnout, up to the motivation because of what she was able to achieve. This is the best thing that I may ever experience when it comes to working with people in fitness. This was an amazing story, and I'm just so glad I'm able to tell it. And I'm going to quickly summarize some of the problems she overcame and the strategies that I used in coaching to help her, to give you guys some of the value. Lifelong binge eating cycles. Started at 1,700 calories because that was able to cause her to lose body fat because of the deficit, and she was able to eat enough to feel good. So that's why we did that. The self-sabotage and anxiety when the scale would not move or would move in the wrong direction. We just focused on consistent habits and focusing on measuring progress in other ways that weren't scale weight. Low exercise tolerance, some burnout. We basically just made her training fun because this is fat loss. This is specifically building her physique in terms of fat loss, so training could be fun. Why not? That's why we did that, and it worked really well, obviously. Shame and guilt spirals. I just kept her accountable every day, encouraging her, hey, just keep it up. You're building something great here. And that was designed to encourage her and help her stay consistent. And that worked really well as well. And of course, body image problems and just reinforcing that fat loss takes a lot of time, and it all comes down to small daily habits compiled over time that obviously just make a great transformation, as you can see. And so during the 10 months, see, she didn't just lose weight. She didn't just lose weight and achieve the physique that she wanted all along. She also just was able to eliminate all of these struggles and build this mindset and lifelong habits that she will be able to use forever without my help. She's good now. And that's one of my favorite parts, is that we were able to work together, do all of this, and she's good now. Like, she is set up for life. And I also do coaching for other people. So if you're ever feeling stuck on your journey as well, and you feel like maybe you want to have a huge transformation just like her, and you feel like coaching is the right thing for you, my coaching application will be in the top link of the description down below, and you can fill it out and I'll review it, and I'll be happy to reach out to you if you seem like a good fit for the program. So feel free to reach out if that's something you want. And I just appreciate you guys for watching this whole thing if you have, and I hope you found this video valuable. And I hope you feel inspired to see somebody else win, and you feel like it's actually possible, because it is possible. And anybody can do this, and once you finally make it to the other side, it is the most rewarding feeling that you could ever feel in your entire life, and it will live with you forever. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you found it valuable. Take care.